Europe stands at a crossroads, facing challenges that would have seemed unthinkable just a decade ago. The continent, long a symbol of stability and cooperation, now finds itself grappling with uncertainty on every front. The old certainties are gone, swept away by geopolitical upheaval, war on its borders, and the rise of new threats. A new, more dangerous era has begun, and the sense of security that once defined Europe is rapidly fading. Germany, a nation whose post-war identity was built on pacifism and restraint, is now stepping forward with a bold message. Berlin is urging the European Union to make defense its top priority, signaling a dramatic shift in both tone and policy. This isn't just about buying more tanks or increasing military budgets. It's about fundamentally transforming the EU from a soft power bloc, known for diplomacy and economic influence, into a true geopolitical actor capable of defending its interests. The realization has set in. Peace in Europe is no longer guaranteed. The war in Ukraine and rising global tensions have exposed just how fragile the continent's security really is. Germany now wants the next EU budget to channel vast resources into building a credible, integrated European defense. This means investing not only in equipment but also in joint training, intelligence sharing, and rapid response capabilities. This marks a historic shift for Germany, driven by necessity and a growing sense of vulnerability. The country is moving beyond its traditional reluctance, recognizing that the world has changed, and so must Europe. The debate is now public and passionate, forcing Europeans everywhere to confront difficult questions. Should the EU continue to focus on prosperity, climate action, and social progress? Or must it now prioritize military strength and collective security above all else? Germany's answer is clear. Without security, none of the EU's ambitions, from economic growth to environmental leadership, can be guaranteed. Security is the foundation upon which everything else rests. Berlin envisions a future where European nations work together seamlessly to develop and deploy advanced military hardware, making the continent less dependent on traditional allies and more capable of defending itself. The implications of this shift are enormous, touching everything from industrial policy and technological innovation to the delicate balance of power within the Union. It will require unprecedented cooperation and a new sense of shared purpose. The 2028 budget debate is about far more than fiscal numbers. It's a battle for the soul of Europe, a defining moment that will shape the continent's future for generations to come. For decades, Germany built its foreign policy on a foundation of trade, diplomacy, and dialogue, believing that strong economic relationships would act as a safeguard against war and instability in Europe. The idea was simple. If nations are economically intertwined, the cost of conflict would be too high for anyone to bear. This approach shaped Germany's role as a peaceful economic powerhouse at the heart of Europe. But everything changed on February 24, 2022. When Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The unthinkable had happened. War had returned to Europe's doorstep. The conflict exposed deep vulnerabilities in Europe's defenses, outdated equipment, dwindling ammunition stocks, and military forces unprepared for a major conflict. Germany, like many of its neighbors, realized it was not ready for a new era of insecurity. Europe's heavy reliance on the United States for security suddenly felt risky, especially as American political debates cast doubt on the future of NATO's unwavering support. This uncertainty forced Germany to confront a difficult question. What if Europe had to defend itself without guaranteed American backing? The concept of strategic autonomy, the European Union acting independently in matters of security, shifted from a distant idea to an urgent necessity almost overnight. Germany's new generation of leaders, less burdened by the shadows of the past, are now more willing to accept the responsibilities that come with power and leadership in Europe. Chancellor Scholz's government has made it clear, Germany must step up and take a leading role in shaping Europe's defense future. This dramatic shift is both a reaction to external threats and a reflection of Germany's evolving sense of national identity and purpose on the world stage. The war in Ukraine served as a wake-up call for the entire continent, reminding everyone that peace in Europe cannot be taken for granted, and that security requires constant vigilance. Germany's transformation is now sparking a wider debate across Europe about the future of collective security and the continent's place in a changing world. The central question remains, can Europe truly secure itself without relying on American military power, and is it ready to take on that responsibility? For Berlin, the answer is clear. Germany must lead, and Europe must be prepared to stand on its own. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent shockwaves across Europe, the continent's security landscape changed overnight. The threat felt immediate and real, forcing countries to rethink their defense strategies and priorities. In response, Chancellor Olaf Scholz delivered a landmark speech to the Bundestag, declaring a Zeitenwende, a historic turning point for German security policy. This was more than just rhetoric, it marked a fundamental shift in Germany's approach to defense. For decades, Germany had maintained a cautious stance on military spending. But now, the government created a massive 100 billion euros fund to modernize its armed forces, breaking with years of restraint and signaling a new era. To make this possible, Parliament amended the constitution, allowing the government to bypass the strict debt brake. This move showed a new political consensus. Defense is now seen as a top national priority, uniting parties that once disagreed. The special fund is being used to purchase advanced equipment, including state-of-the-art F-35 fighter jets, as well as modern gear and protective equipment for German soldiers, ensuring they are better prepared for today's threats. The ultimate goal is to make the Bundeswehr, Germany's armed forces, fully operational and ready to respond to any crisis, both at home and abroad. Germany also pledged to meet NATO's 2% GDP defense spending target, a commitment that signals its intention to be a reliable ally and to share the burden of collective security for the long term. With its own military revitalized, Germany is now pushing for a similar transformation at the European level, encouraging its neighbors to invest more in their own defense capabilities. Berlin's logic is clear: a strong German military alone isn't enough. True security for the continent requires collective European action and deeper cooperation among EU members. Germany's Zeitenwende is now being promoted as a model for the entire European Union, urging partners to pool resources, coordinate strategies, and build a stronger, more unified defense union. The ultimate goal is clear: a Europe that can defend itself, standing together as one, ready to face any challenge that may arise in the future. Germany's vision is a detailed blueprint for transforming the EU's next budget. The plan boosts defense spending by reallocating funds from other areas, making security the EU's top priority. Key proposals include new financial tools like letting the European Investment Bank fund defense projects. The aim: build a robust European defense industry and reduce reliance on American suppliers. Integration is key, not a single EU army, but practical steps for joint capabilities and shared infrastructure. Investments in rapid deployment forces and military mobility corridors are central. By 2034, Germany hopes for a secure, resilient, and autonomous Europe. Success means interoperable armed forces, a thriving defense industry, and the political will to act. At the heart of Germany's proposal is SAFE, the strategic accelerator for the future of Europe. SAFE could mobilize up to 800 billion euros over a decade, using joint EU borrowing to fund defense projects. The goal: supercharge Europe's defense industry, ensuring rapid production and innovation. SAFE would fund joint development of new technologies, fighter jets, drones, cyber defense, and encourage countries to procure equipment together. This would foster military integration and efficiency. Critics, especially the Frugal Four, oppose joint borrowing and fear loss of national sovereignty. They argue defense should remain a national responsibility, not an EU one. The SAFE debate will be a central battleground in the 2028 budget talks. The outcome will test the limits of European solidarity. Germany's strategy centers on joint procurement to end Europe's fragmented defense market. Currently, 27 countries buy their own equipment, leading to inefficiency and incompatibility. Germany wants EU nations to pool orders, saving billions and standardizing equipment. Programs like the European Defense Fund and ASAP are first steps, but Berlin wants joint procurement to become the norm. The aim: create a single, integrated European defense market. Unified procurement would strengthen Europe's industrial base, giving companies the scale to innovate and compete globally. It would also ensure critical technologies are developed within the EU, reducing dependence on foreign suppliers. This is about more than efficiency, it's about technological sovereignty. A unified approach would make Europe's military forces more effective and resilient. In a turbulent world, self-sufficiency is now a strategic imperative. Germany's push for defense spending has sparked a classic guns versus butter debate across the EU. Supporters, especially in Eastern Europe, see increased defense as essential against threats like Russia. Opponents, mainly in southern Europe, fear cuts to social and economic programs will fuel inequality and unrest. Many citizens worry militarization will undermine priorities like climate action, healthcare, and education. Peace groups argue for diplomacy and warn against an arms race. Critics also raise concerns about waste, corruption, and lack of oversight in defense spending. The debate reveals deep divisions over the EU's purpose, hard power, or social progress. The 2028 budget will force a reckoning. What kind of union do Europeans want? The answer will shape the EU's identity for years to come. The stakes: security versus solidarity. In Brussels, Germany's defense-first push is both an opportunity and a challenge. EU leaders like Ursula von der Leyen see it as a chance to unify Europe and boost its global standing. The Commission is drafting proposals to strengthen the defense industry and foster collaboration. But shifting funds from popular programs to defense will spark fierce political battles. The challenge: broker a compromise that satisfies security hawks without alienating those who rely on traditional EU funding. Globally, the US welcomes a stronger European partner, but Russia sees militarization as a threat. The outcome will reshape the EU and the global balance of power. Europe's next steps will echo far beyond its borders. As the EU prepares its 2028 budget, it faces a defining choice. Germany's call for a defense-first Europe sets the terms: build a fortress or tend the garden within. A shift to hard power could make Europe safer and more autonomous, but risks social cohesion and deepening divisions. Maintaining the status quo preserves prosperity programs, but could leave Europe vulnerable in a dangerous world. The decision isn't just for politicians. It's for every European citizen. The budget debate is a chance to reflect on shared values and the future. Should Europe be a shield, a beacon of prosperity, or both? The answer will define the EU's character in the 21st century. The stakes are high and the world is watching. Europe's destiny is being written now.